Hello everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Kim.
And we have a terrible idea for you guys today. Remember yesterday we talked about how in Spain people celebrate the new year by eating 12 grapes in 12 seconds when the clock strikes 12. And if you do it in that time, get all the grapes in your mouth in 12 seconds, you have good luck all year long. Well, it's a few days into the new year and someone, our boss, decided that would be really cool if you guys did it too. And we said, we'll probably die. And they said, we don't care,
okay.
Just do it. And so we're gonna do it. So here we are. We're gonna have 12 seconds on the clock. When we say go, the clock will start. And when you hear the beeping noise, that means the 12 seconds are over. Are you ready, Kim?
No.
What are you gonna chew and are you gonna try to eat them?
I haven't sorted out my game plan yet. I'm just gonna see what happens.
I think I'm just gonna try to stuff them in my cheeks like a chipmunk or a squirrel.
I like that.
See how that goes. I think I'll get around 9 and then they'll just start popping out as I
Don't
pop
underestimate
them in.
yourself.
I don't know, we'll see. Are you guys ready? This could be interesting. It could also be the last time you see us alive. All right, so are you ready, madam?
I'm ready.
I think I'm ready too. I'm not sure, but let's do this, okay? 3, great, ready? 2, 1, go! Oh, that's so fast. Oh my God, that's so, okay. Protect your stomach with fried donut holes. We usually view fried foods as an unhealthy choice, but in the Netherlands, a special case is made during New Year's Eve. On that night, people eat oil balls, which are a type of donut. Some say the practice is designed to coat the inside of your stomach as protection against the sharp sword of an evil goddess. Whether you believe this or not, they certainly make a delicious treat. Okay.
How did you do that?
I am not sure I actually did that, but it seemed to work. We're still alive. That's good, and if anything bad happens to me for the rest of the year, I will let you guys know, and also any Spanish people I met.
Yes.
I'll be like, hey, I'm angry, I ate those grapes.
It didn't work.
I broke my leg or something like that, so hopefully nothing bad happens, at least for the rest of today, because we have part 2 of our article, A Happy New Year Starts in the Stomach. So let's check it out, see where we're going next. It says, protect your stomach with fried donut holes. Okay, well that's kind of interesting, but a little strange. But yeah, it's true, donuts are very popular around the world. I've just never heard of them as being kind of a special or lucky food or something. But yeah, people love donuts. Of course, most of you guys would know that a donut is sort of a round or circular piece of fried dough. It's got a hole in the middle, it's sweet, it's a little oily, and people of course then decorate it with chocolate and all sorts of other wonderful, sweet, delicious flavors. There's lots of donut places out there you can go and buy, and a lot of people like to have it as a snack with some coffee or something like that. The article, the example sentence, I should say, reads, there's a place that sells great donuts by my house. We should also maybe explain, because it's kind of weird, a donut hole? Well, that's just air, right? There's nothing in the middle of the donut, but some places have introduced this smaller round ball of basically the same thing that is in a donut, but it's very small. It's kind of actually like a big grape.
Yes.
And you can just pop them in your mouth, and we call those donut holes.
Could you eat 12 donut holes in 12 seconds?
I don't know. That would be much harder.
That's our next challenge.
Not this year. But they're also very popular as a snack. So where in the world are people eating donut holes for luck or something on New Year's?
Great question. Well, it says we usually view fried foods as an unhealthy choice.
Like donuts, yeah.
Yes. But in the Netherlands, a special case is made during New Year's Eve. Okay? On that night, people eat oil balls, not a good name for it, which are a type of donut. Some say the practice is designed to coat the inside of your stomach as protection against the sharp sword of an evil goddess.
Whoa, okay. That's very interesting.
Oil ball. I'm still stuck on oil balls.
Yeah, that's not a great name on a menu. Mr. Oil Balls. Mr.
I don't
Donut,
like it.
I can get. Mr. Oil Balls, I don't think you'll sell a lot of donut holes at that place. But okay, so they're going to have oil on them and that covers your stomach and it protects you from, what was that again?
The sharp sword of an evil goddess.
Wow. What are people in the Netherlands eating?
I don't know.
Swords? That's a strange thing to put in your stomach.
It continues, whether you believe this or not, they certainly make a delicious treat.
Okay, well, I've heard of people, sometimes they might drink milk to protect their stomach from spicy food or something, right? If you're going to have a hot pot, like malagwo, kind of spicy hot pot. I've heard some people say, oh, drink a big glass of milk and it will protect your stomach. So maybe it's the same kind of idea, but I've never heard of people protecting their stomach from the sword of an evil goddess. Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but if there is an evil goddess around with a sharp sword trying to poke it in your stomach, you definitely want protection. And protection, this noun, is basically talking about keeping yourself safe from dangerous things, right? Things that we do to stay safe are things that we do for our protection. Okay, it could be something really dangerous, like you want to wear a helmet when you're riding on a scooter for protection, or put on your seatbelt in a car. That gives you protection if you have an accident. Or it could be smaller things, like if you put a napkin on your clothes when you're eating food, that's giving your clothes protection from getting spots on them or something like that. Here's another thing that gives us protection from something not so dangerous. It says B's hat offered little protection against the rain. Oh yeah, you need a raincoat and an umbrella.
Yes.
And maybe some boots on your feet. Those will give you real protection from rain.
That's right, and you got to protect yourself from this sword.
Definitely protect yourself from a sword.
What's going on with the sword? A sword is a long metal weapon, and usually when we think of swords, we think of knights, maybe King Arthur's time, sort of sword fighting on horseback.
Samurai swords.
Yeah, samurai swords, the samurais in Japan. They're not really used these days.
Not too much.
I don't think people are fighting with swords, but there is
in fencing, right?
Yes, I was just about to say there is a sport called fencing, but the swords are really long and thin.
Yeah, those are very special
not really
swords.
Dangerous. Okay, our example, the two men drew their swords and prepared to fight.
Yeah, but basically you're right. Their swords come in all shapes and sizes through history. The only difference would be something much smaller. We would call that a knife.
Yes.
Right, like a kitchen knife or a bigger knife that you might use when you go camping. But if it's longer, if you use two hands, something like that, that's definitely a sword. All right, well, let's take a break. We'll think about where we can get the best oil balls in Taipei, and then we'll be back. Do you think we can go to Little Holland? Is there a neighborhood called Little Holland?
You can go.
Okay.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们继续来看其他地方的新年习俗。那下一个介绍的是用炸甜甜圈球来保护你的胃。好 ，donut 就是甜甜圈，它可以拼作 D-O-N-U-T， 也可以拼作 D-O-U-G-H。NUT， 好，那都是念作 donut。文中的这个 donut hole 不是指甜甜圈中间那个洞哦，而是指甜甜圈球。那这种点心差不多是一口大小。课文就写到说，我们通常认为油炸食品是一种不健康的选择，但是在荷兰，人们会在跨年夜吃这个 oil balls。油球听起来超不可口的但它其实是一种甜甜圈啦。那有人说吃这种甜甜圈的习俗呢，是为了在胃里面涂上一层保护，然后来对抗邪恶女神的利剑。好，不管你信或不信，这种荷兰甜甜圈确实是一道美味的传统点心哦。我们来看单字 protection， 它表示保护或是防护，是当名词。那么 sword 表示剑或是刀。Samurai sword 就是指武士刀，那么刚刚老师们提到这个 samurai 就是指日本的武士哦。老师还有用到 poke 这个字 P-O-K-E， poke 它可以表达戳或是刺，还有提到 fencing F-E-N-C-I-N-G， fencing 可以指击剑这种运动。 那这边有2个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看第一个重点是表示认为、视为的用法。我们可以用 think of A as B, see A as B, view A as B 或是 regard A as B 来表达将 A 视为 B, 认为 A 是 B。那这个 A 可以是人或是事物 ，B 的部分你可以用形容词或名词表达。例如 She regards Zoe as her best friend. 她把 Zoe 视为最要好的朋友。那我们来看被动的句型是 A 加上 be thought of as 或是 be seen as, be viewed as 或是 be regarded as 再加上 be 来表达 A 被视为 B, A 被认为是 B。例如 This place is thought of as the best restaurant in the city. 这个地方被认为是城市里最棒的餐厅。第二个重点是 whether 可以引导副词子句来表达不管是什么还是什么。那么用法是 whether 主词加动词 or not逗号主词加动词，或者是 whether 点点点 or 点点点逗号主词加动词，像是 whether it rains or not, the game will be played on Saturday. 不管是否下雨，那场比赛将会在星期六举行。Whether it's cold or hot outside, they always enjoy a walk in the park. 不管外面天气是冷还是热，他们总是喜欢在公园散步。那么另外 whether 主词加动词 or not 或者是 whether 点点点 or 点点点也可以作为 whether 引导的名词子句，然后摆在句子里面当受词用，像是 I wonder whether they will get back together or not. 这个 or not 也可以省略，没问题。不知道他们会不会复合我好想知道这件事哦。再造个例句 I don't know whether she's a dog person or a cat person. 我不知道她是爱狗人士还是爱猫人士。好，那这回课文中。
Live to a ripe old age by eating extra long noodles. In Japan, people have been welcoming the new year with a bowl of toshikoshi soba since the 13th century. This kind of buckwheat noodle is seen as a symbol of a long and happy life. The act of swallowing the noodle signifies smoothly crossing over from one year to the next, which ensures that you move on completely from the past. These selections only scratch the surface of the countless New Year's food traditions around the world. Once you try these out, there's nothing to stop you from continuing the experiment at every holiday for the rest of the year. All right. Well, eating grapes at midnight, that was kind of difficult, but it wasn't as kind of strange as the oil balls.
Yeah, I'll pass on the oil balls.
I'm not sure I'm going to really get into that one. So let's move on, see what else people in other parts of the world might do on New Year's. It says, live to a ripe old age by eating extra long noodles. Okay, I think I actually might have heard of this one. It says, in Japan, people have been welcoming the new year with a bowl of toshikoshi soba since the 13th century. It's a kind of noodle dish, obviously. Soba noodles are really, really delicious. You often eat them in a soup or a broth of some kind. This kind of buckwheat noodle, that's right, soba noodles are made of buckwheat, a type of wheat, a type of grain. This kind of buckwheat noodle is seen as a symbol of a long and happy life.
Okay.
This reminds me of that long green vegetable that people here eat at Chinese New Year, right?
Oh, yeah, what's that called?
I forget, but there is a long thing, and the same idea, different foods, same idea, long, happy life, eat the long food.
That's right. It says, the act of swallowing the noodle signifies smoothly crossing over from one year to the next, which ensures that you move on completely from the past.
Can you chew the noodles, or you just have to swallow the whole thing like a snake?
Ooh.
That is kind of
Good question.
weird.
What are the rules here?
Yeah, maybe I'm not so unhappy about eating all those grapes. But anyways, these are all different traditions involving different foods from different places in the world, but they're all about good luck. It says these selections only scratch the surface of the countless New Year's food traditions around the world. And to scratch the surface, this is just a small example. There are many, many others if you want to do some research and find out more about these interesting traditions.
Yep, so we have selection. This is a small selection.
Small selection, yeah.
So selection can have two different meanings. The first one, as we're using it in the article, is when you have a lot of choices about something. So if you go to a fancy grocery store, they might have a large selection of cheese.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they've got Havarti and Brie and Gouda and American cheese and everything you can think of. There might be a large selection of vegetables and fish at the market. Got all different kinds, and you can choose one. And your selection can be your choice. So like in our example, my selection for president of the chess club is Carlos. So out of all these people, I'm choosing Carlos. That's my choice, that's my selection. It's more of a formal, fancy way of saying choice.
Yeah, exactly. At a restaurant, you might not say, my selection for dinner will be the hot dog, please. But yeah, to select is to choose, so what you choose is your selection or one of many choices.
Okay, it says, once you try these out, there's nothing to stop you from continuing the experiment at every holiday for the rest of the year.
There you go, yeah, have an experiment. Try something new. That's what an experiment is. We often use this in sort of a scientific way, right? Scientists doing lab tests, doing experiments. They have an idea, they set up a test to try to check to see if this idea is true or not, and then that test is an experiment. It's often done in a science kind of way, very organized, very planned out, being very careful. Or you can just say, I'm going to try something new. I've moved to a new neighborhood. I'm going to go down that street as an experiment and see what stores or what restaurants I can find. Anyway, if you try something new and you're trying to learn things and get information from what you're doing, you could, in some cases, call that an experiment. For example, as an experiment, the artist used only 2 colors in his latest work. He had this idea that I want to see, kind of as a test, can I make a good painting using only 2 colors? And maybe the experiment worked and he created a masterpiece, or maybe it just was kind of a boring painting. That's the thing with experiments. You don't know until you try. So let's move on to our what do you think question now. Which New Year's traditions does your family follow? And if your family doesn't have any, can you think of any other ways that people celebrate New Year's around the world?
Wow.
Long question.
My family doesn't have any traditions, but
No?
I think celebrating New Year, the most famous example is New York. Like, people in New York celebrate the New Year by cramming themselves into Times Square,
Right.
sometimes hours before the ball drops, and then
Many
they
hours.
watch the ball drop down to 0, and then they all go home.
That's right.
After standing there for 7 hours.
For many, and I don't
Yes.
think they're allowed to leave, even to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff.
can't leave because it's just so cram-packed. I mean, probably not now because of COVID and everything, but before, this was on some people's bucket list. This is something they wanted to experience, was New Year's in New York City.
Absolutely. I think the Spanish tradition with the grapes means you'll have a full face, a full mouth, but the New York way means you'll be full down there. You'll have to go to the bathroom. So I think I'll stick with the grapes.
Yeah, the grapes sound like a better option.
All right, guys. Well, what about you? Does your family have a New Year's tradition? You can chat about that and let us know if you have a really interesting one. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year once again. Be well. Take care of yourselves and each other all through the new year, and we'll see you very soon. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
新年快乐.
好，下一个要介绍的习俗是吃超长面条可以长命百岁。在日本啊，人们从13世纪以来一直都是吃这种 toshikoshi soba 跨年荞麦面来迎接新年。那有的荞麦面呢，吃起来口感滑嫩。Mike 老师刚刚用到 slimy 来描述 slimy，slimy 意思是黏滑的，或是可以形容黏糊糊的。老师还用到 broth 这个字 broth，broth 是指高汤或者是肉汤。好，那这2天的课文所介绍的新年食物选择啊，只是一小部分。同学们有兴趣，你可以多查一些资料，然后在今年的每一个节日都来试验一下各地习俗。好，我们来看单字 selection。selection 它当可数名词，可以表达挑选出来的人或是事物；那它当不可数名词，可以表达选择或是挑选。而 experiment 这个名词表示试验、试用或是有实验的意思。 老师们最后在聊新年庆祝活动的时候提到这个 ball drop， 它其实是指纽约时代广场 Times Square 的落球仪式。在新年倒数的时候，这个时代广场那水晶球就会开始下降。当水晶球完全落下，就象征着新一年的开始。可是这种跨年场合都挤满的人，你要上厕所可能都没办法，还是在家里吃新年食物就好了。老师用到 pack 这个字 ，P-A-C-K-E-D packed， 它是形容挤满的。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Protect your stomach with fried donut holes. We usually view fried foods as an unhealthy choice, but in the Netherlands, a special case is made during New Year's Eve. On that night, people eat oil balls, which are a type of donut. Some say the practice is designed to coat the inside of your stomach as protection against the sharp sword of an evil goddess. Whether you believe this or not, they certainly make a delicious treat. Live to a ripe old age by eating extra long noodles. In Japan, people have been welcoming the new year with a bowl of toshikoshi soba since the 13th century. This kind of buckwheat noodle is seen as a symbol of a long and happy life. The act of swallowing the noodle signifies smoothly crossing over from one year to the next, which ensures that you move on completely from the past. These selections only scratch the surface of the countless New Year's food traditions around the world. Once you try these out, there's nothing to stop you from continuing the experiment at every holiday for the rest of the year.
A great festival has good music and also good food. As you can probably hear, there's already really good music, but as you can see behind me, there's also probably really good food too. Let's go to that food shack over there called Do Mine and see what I can fill my tummy with. Let's go. So one of the cool things that you can see behind me is they've written everything on bamboo pieces. Really cool presentation. So what I'm gonna ask the owner is, what does he recommend to eat and to drink? So let's find out. Looks like the food is ready, so let's give it a taste. Look at that. That piece of toast is huge. And look, on top of it, we also have some things that we usually don't see, but it looks really good. What she told me, the owner told me, is it's peanut butter cheese, and on top we have millet sticky rice, and it's covered in caramel sugar. So let's give this a taste. Oh, it's so big. I don't even know how to eat it. Perfection. The peanut butter cheese is so good, and it matches the mochi, the sticky millet rice. It's sticky, it's sweet, super good. Wow, I've never had anything like this before. Toast always tastes good with a beverage, so let's see what we have here. The bubbles in this, the boba, taste very different from the ones I have in other places. The taste of the sugar is a little less sweet. It tastes more like what we have here, a peanut kind of sauce. And the drink itself, usually it's milk tea, but this is just milk, and it's really, really sweet. It tastes super good. Things here are very different, but very, very delicious. So happy to be here at this music festival and eating great food.
See you next time.